Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the alien fleet appear in space. The ships came out of nowhere, like dark shadows against the stars. He had been captain of the UES Liberty for 8 years. In all that time, he had never seen so many alien ships together in one place. For 30 years, humans had worked with the aliens. They called themselves the Galactic Coalition. It sounded important and good. Humans had joined them because they wanted to be part of something bigger. They wanted to help protect the galaxy from the bad things that lived in the dark spaces between stars. The aliens had many enemies. The worst ones were called the Void Swarm. These creatures ate everything they found. They destroyed planets and killed everyone who lived on them. The Coalition had been fighting them for hundreds of years. Humans were good at fighting. The aliens learned this quickly. Human soldiers were brave and strong. Human engineers could fix anything and build new weapons fast. Human pilots could fly ships better than most aliens could. So the Coalition used humans for their hardest battles. Jake had fought in many of those battles. He had seen human friends die on planets with names he could not say. He had watched human ships blow up while protecting alien worlds. But humans did it because they thought they were doing the right thing. They thought they were saving the galaxy. Now Admiral Kethvar appeared as a blue light on Jake's bridge. The alien looked like it was made of glass and crystals. Its voice was cold and sharp like broken ice. "Captain Morrison," the alien said, "the High Council has made a decision about humans. You are no longer part of the Coalition. Your people are too dangerous, too wild, you fight too much and ask too many questions." Jake felt his heart stop beating for a moment. Amy Parker, who worked the communication systems, looked up at him with wide eyes. She was young and had joined the crew just 2 years ago. This was her first time seeing aliens act like this. "What does that mean?" Jake asked. "It means you must give us your ships and weapons. It means you must go back to your home system and stay there. You cannot leave. You cannot trade with other races. You are alone now." Jake looked at the big screen that showed space around his ship. There were hundreds of alien ships out there. Ships that humans had helped build. Weapons that humans had helped make better. All of them were pointing at human ships now. "You used us," Jake said. His voice was quiet but angry. "We died for you. We bled for you. We gave you everything we had. And now you throw us away like garbage." "You served your purpose," Kethvar said. "But you are too much trouble now. The Void Swarm is not as strong as before. We do not need human warriors anymore. We need peace and order." "Humans do not understand these things." Amy's hands were shaking as she worked at her station. "Captain," she said in a whisper, "they have weapons locked on all our ships. If we try to fight, they will kill us all." Jake knew she was right. There were only 50 human ships here. The aliens had 500. It would not be a fight. It would be murder. But Jake was not just thinking about fighting. He was thinking about his daughter back on Earth. She was only 12 years old. He was thinking about all the human families who had sons and daughters serving with the Coalition. He was thinking about the human colonies that had been built in alien space with permission from the Coalition. "Send a message to all human ships," Jake told Amy. "Tell them to prepare for withdrawal. Tell them to gather all our people from the colonies. We are going home." "And after that?" Amy asked. "Tell them to remember this day. Tell them to remember how the aliens treated us after we saved their lives so many times." Jake walked to his captain's chair and sat down. His hands were steady, but his mind was full of anger and pain. The aliens had made a big mistake. They thought humans would just go away quietly. They thought humans would hide in their home system and slowly become weak and forgotten. But Jake knew something the aliens did not know. Humans were at their most dangerous when they were angry. And humans were at their strongest when they were alone and had to take care of themselves. As the Coalition ships watched, the human fleet began to move toward Earth. But they were not running away like scared animals. They were going home to prepare for something the aliens could not imagine. During the long trip home, Jake sent secret messages to human commanders everywhere. The messages used codes that only humans knew. The messages told every human ship captain and colony leader the same thing. "They think we are beaten. They think we are weak without them. They are wrong. We are going to show them what humans can really do when we work together. We are going to become something they never expected, something they will fear. The trip back to Earth took 3 months. During that time, Jake watched his crew work harder than ever before. They studied alien technology. They made copies of important files. They learned everything they could about coalition weaknesses. When the Liberty finally reached Earth's solar system, Jake felt something he had not felt in years. He felt free. For 30 years, humans had followed alien rules. They had asked alien leaders for permission to do things. They had tried to be good members of the coalition. Now they could be themselves again. Now they could build the future. They wanted, instead of the future the aliens planned for them. Jake looked at Amy, who was older and wiser now after the long trip home. "Are you ready for what comes next?" he asked her. She smiled for the first time since the aliens had betrayed them. "Yes, sir, let's show them what humans can do." Lisa Carter looked at the reports coming in from all over human space. She had been made Admiral of Earth Defense after the aliens kicked humans out of the coalition. It was a job she never wanted but accepted because someone had to do it. The numbers were good, better than anyone had hoped. In just 6 months, every human had come home. 37 colony worlds had been emptied. 14 space stations had been taken apart and moved. Over 200 ships had made the journey back to human space. Roy Bennett walked into her office. He was the general in charge of protecting Earth. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. But his voice was strong when he spoke. "Yeti, aliens think they won," Roy said. "They believe that cutting us off from their trade will make us weak. They think we will sit in our corner of space and slowly die." Lisa smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Show me the factory reports," she said. Roy pressed buttons on a small device. Pictures appeared in the air above Lisa's desk. The pictures showed human factories all over the solar system. They were working day and night. Smoke came from their towers. Ships carried materials from one place to another without stopping. "Look at this," Roy said, pointing at the numbers. "We are making ships 3 times faster than we did before. We are building weapons that are better than anything the Coalition has, and we are doing it all without asking anyone for permission." Lisa nodded. The aliens had not understood humans at all. They thought humans were strong because the Coalition helped them. They did not know that humans were strong because of the way they thought and worked. Dr. Susan Brooks appeared on a screen on the wall. She was calling from a base on the moon. Susan was the smartest person Lisa knew. She could understand alien technology better than most aliens could. "Admiral," Susan said, "I have good news. The data we copied from Coalition computers is very useful. We know how all their ships work now. We know how their weapons work, and we have made them better." "How much better?" Lisa asked. "Our new ships are faster than theirs. Our weapons can destroy their ships with one shot, and we have built things they have never seen before." Lisa felt excitement growing in her chest. For 30 years, humans had used alien technology. They had followed alien designs. They had built things the way aliens wanted them built. Now humans were free to build things their own way. And the human way was always different. Humans did not like to follow old rules. They liked to try new things. They liked to make everything better and faster and stronger. "What about our timeline?" Lisa asked Susan. "Give us 5 years," Susan said. "In 5 years we will have a fleet that can beat any coalition force. Our ships will be so advanced that alien technology will look like toys next to them." After Susan ended the call, Roy sat down in a chair across from Lisa's desk. "There is something else," he said. "Our spies in Coalition space say the aliens are having trouble. The Void Swarm is attacking again. Without our soldiers, the Coalition is losing many battles." Lisa stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see Earth's blue oceans and white clouds. She could see the space elevators that carried materials up to the orbital factories. She could see the defense stations that protected the planet. "They made us leave because they were afraid of us," she said. "They said we were too aggressive, too dangerous, too unpredictable. Were they wrong?" Roy asked. Lisa turned around and looked at him. "No, they were right. We are dangerous. We are unpredictable. But they made a mistake. They thought those were bad things. Roy understood. Humans had always been fighters. They had always been the ones to try new things when old things did not work. The Coalition had wanted to change humans into something more like other aliens. Calm and peaceful and easy to control. But humans were not meant to be calm and peaceful. They were meant to be active and creative and strong. When the aliens forced them to leave, they accidentally gave humans the freedom to be themselves again. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Roy asked. "Tell all our commanders to work harder. Tell our scientists to think faster. Tell our engineers to build better ships. The aliens think we are finished. They think we are hiding in our home system like scared animals." Lisa walked back to her desk and looked at the reports again. Every number told the same story. Humans were not getting weaker. They were getting stronger. "In 5 years we will go back to alien space," she said. "But we will not go back as members of their coalition. We will go back as something new, something they have never seen before." Roy smiled. It was the first time Lisa had seen him smile since the betrayal. "What do you think they will do when they see us again?" "They will remember why they were afraid of us in the first place," Lisa said. "But by then it will be too late." During the months that followed, human space became the busiest place in the galaxy. Every human worked toward the same goal. They did not complain about long hours or hard work. They remembered how the aliens had treated them after 30 years of loyal service. The betrayal had hurt. But it had also made humans angry. And angry humans were the most dangerous humans in the universe. Lisa received reports every day about their progress. New ship designs that could travel faster than light in ways no alien had ever imagined. New weapons that could destroy entire fleets. New shields that could protect against any attack. But the most important change was not in their technology. It was in their thinking. For 30 years, humans had tried to fit in with alien culture. They had tried to be good members of the coalition. They had held back their natural instincts to innovate and compete. Now those instincts were free. Humans were competing with each other to build better ships and weapons. They were sharing ideas and improving on each other's work. They were doing what humans did best. They were evolving. "The aliens wanted to get rid of us because we were too much trouble," Lisa told Roy during one of their meetings. "But trouble is what makes humans strong. Trouble is what makes us find better ways to do things." Roy looked at the latest reports from their spy networks. The coalition was struggling badly without human help. 3 member species were asking questions about the decision to exile humans. Some were even sending secret messages asking if humans would be willing to help them. "Should we respond to these requests?" Roy asked. Lisa thought for a moment. Then she shook her head. "Not yet. Let them struggle a little longer. Let them understand what they lost when they threw us away. When we are ready, when we are strong, enough, then we will decide how to deal with them." "And when will that be?" Lisa looked out the window again at the busy space around Earth. "Soon," she said. "Very soon." Tony Rodriguez flew his ship through the asteroid field near the outer colonies. His ship was called the New Frontier, and it was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen before. 5 years had passed since the aliens threw humans out of the coalition. 5 years of hard work and anger and determination. The New Frontier did not look like the old human ships. It was sleek and black and seemed to bend light around itself. When Tony pressed the right buttons, the ship could disappear completely from alien sensors. When he pushed the engines to full power, the ship could outrun anything the coalition had built. "Captain," called Helen Kim from her navigation station, "we are getting the monthly intelligence report from our deep space watchers." Tony smiled as he read the report. The news was good for humans and bad for the aliens. The coalition was losing battles everywhere. The Void Swarm had gotten stronger and was attacking more systems. Without human soldiers to fight for them, the aliens could not protect their territory. Some of the coalition member species were starting to ask hard questions. Why had they gotten rid of their best fighters when the war was getting worse? Why had they listened to the High Council when humans had always been loyal? Danny Walsh came up from the engine room. His hands were covered in grease, but he looked happy. Danny was the best engineer Tony had ever worked with. He could make machines do things they were not supposed to be able to do. "Captain, the quantum drive modifications are finished," Danny said. "We can now travel 3 times faster than any coalition ship, and our stealth systems are perfect. They will never see us coming." Tony nodded. The quantum drive was a human invention. The aliens had faster than light travel, but it was slow and predictable. Human engineers had found a way to fold space itself, making travel almost instant. It was technology the aliens could not even understand, let alone copy. But the changes in human technology were not the only important changes. Humans themselves had changed too. Without coalition rules holding them back, human commanders could make decisions quickly. They could adapt to new situations without asking permission from alien bureaucrats. Human society had changed as well. The betrayal had brought all humans together. People who had argued about politics or economics before now worked together toward the same goal. Everyone wanted to make sure that humans would never be weak enough to be betrayed again. "Orders from Earth Command," Tony announced to his crew. "We begin the next phase of operations. Deploy reconnaissance drones throughout coalition space. It is time the aliens learned that we did not disappear. We evolved." The new frontier activated its stealth systems and vanished from normal sensors. Then it jumped into quantum space and crossed hundreds of light years in seconds. The ship appeared at the edge of coalition territory, completely invisible to their detection systems. Tony watched as his crew released dozens of small drones. Each drone was smaller than a human hand, but contained technology that was decades ahead of anything the aliens had. The drones would spread through coalition space and watch everything. They would record fleet movements, listen to communications, and map defensive positions. "How many systems will these drones cover?" Helen asked. "All of them," Tony replied. "Every coalition world, every fleet base, every important facility. In 3 months, we will know everything about them. We will know where they are strong and where they are weak." The drones flew away from the new frontier and scattered in all directions. They were fast and small, and completely invisible to coalition sensors. Within hours, they would be watching alien activities from inside their most secure facilities. This was the new human way of doing things. Humans had always been good at gathering information and using it cleverly. But in the coalition, they had been forced to share everything they learned with alien commanders. Often those commanders made poor decisions or moved too slowly to use the information effectively. Now humans could use their intelligence-gathering skills without restriction. They could plan operations without alien interference. They could strike fast and hard without waiting for approval from committees of alien politicians. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we are receiving a message from Admiral Carter. She wants to speak with you personally." Admiral Carter appeared on the main screen. She looked older than she had 5 years ago, but her eyes were sharp and determined. Behind her, Tony could see the bridge of her flagship, which was even more advanced than his own ship. "Captain Rodriguez," she said, "how is your mission proceeding?" "Very well, Admiral. The drones are deployed and functioning perfectly. In 3 months, we will have complete intelligence on coalition activities." "Good. I have news from Earth. Our industrial expansion is ahead of schedule. We now have over 500 ships of your class or better. Our weapons factories are producing advanced systems that make coalition technology look primitive." Tony felt pride growing in his chest. 5 years ago, humans had been dependent on alien technology. Now they were building things that aliens could not even imagine. "What about recruitment?" he asked. "Better than expected. 17 species have sent secret representatives asking about joining a human-led alliance. They have seen what we can accomplish without coalition bureaucracy slowing us down. They want to be part of something that actually works." This was another change in human thinking. In the coalition, humans had been junior partners. They had followed alien leadership and tried to fit into alien ways of doing things. Now other species wanted to follow human leadership and learn human ways. "Are we ready for the next phase?" Tony asked. Admiral Carter smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not entirely friendly either. "Almost. Our scientists estimate That coalition military strength has declined by 40% since they expelled us. Meanwhile, our own capabilities have increased by over 300%. And the Void Swarm? Still advancing on multiple fronts. The aliens are too, proud to admit they need help. But their situation is becoming desperate. Some of their border worlds have already fallen. Tony understood what this meant. The coalition had kicked humans out because they thought the war was under control. They had believed that human aggression and unpredictability were more dangerous than useful. Now they were learning how wrong they had been. Your orders, Admiral? Continue surveillance operations. Document everything. When the time comes to act, I want to know exactly where every coalition ship is located and what condition it is in. And when will that time come? Admiral Carter looked directly at him through the screen. Soon, Captain. Very soon. The galaxy is about to learn what humans can accomplish when they stop trying to please others and start being themselves. After the communication ended, Tony looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien commanders were struggling to fight battles. Without human help, somewhere out there, coalition politicians were starting to regret their decision to exile humanity. But it was too late for regrets now. Humans had spent 5 years becoming something new and dangerous. They had built ships that could defeat any alien fleet. They had developed weapons that could destroy entire star systems. They had created an intelligence network that knew everything about their former allies. Most importantly, they had learned to stop holding back. For too long, humans had tried to be good members of the galactic community. They had followed alien rules and customs. They had been careful not to seem too aggressive or too different. Now they were free to be themselves. And themselves was something the galaxy had never seen before. The Coalition High Council chamber was full of fear and confusion. Admiral Kethvar stood in the center of the room, his crystal-like body flickering with colors that meant stress and panic. Around him, representatives from dozens of alien species listened to his report with growing horror. The humans have been watching us for over 2 years, Kethvar announced. Their ships move through our space like ghosts. Our sensors cannot detect them. Our weapons cannot target them. They know everything about us, and we know nothing about them. Counselor Vexistari was a large reptile-like being from the Saurian Empire. His scales turned dark red when he was angry, and right now they were almost black. This is impossible, he hissed. We cut off their access to advanced technology. They should be using primitive ships that can barely travel between stars. The holographic display in the center of the room showed footage that had been captured by a coalition patrol ship before it was destroyed. The images were terrible and beautiful at the same time. Human ships moved through space like living shadows, bending light around their hulls. When they attacked, the battle was over in seconds. Coalition ships exploded into pieces while the human vessels remained untouched. These are not the same humans we expelled from the coalition, said Intelligence Chief Zordan. His species had 4 eyes and could see details that others missed. Their technology is beyond anything we understand. Our experts believe they have also changed themselves physically. They are faster, stronger, and smarter than they were before. Ambassador Hive Mind Cluster Designation 7742 pulsed with worry. This being was actually millions of small creatures that worked together as one intelligence. When they were concerned, their entire form glowed with red light. The Void Swarm continues to advance, the Hive Mind said. 17 of our border systems are under attack. Our remaining forces cannot protect our territory. Perhaps we should consider asking the humans for help. A sound filled the chamber that no alien could make. It was laughter, but not happy laughter. It was the sound of someone who knew a terrible secret. You still do not understand, Kethvar said. 3 of our fleets tried to make peaceful contact with human territory. All 3 fleets were destroyed. No warnings were given. No mercy was shown. The humans did not even try to communicate with us first. The chamber fell silent. For the first time, the alien leaders began to understand what they had created. They had expected that exiling humans would make them weaker and eventually cause them to disappear. Instead, they had freed humanity from all the rules and restrictions that had held them back. How many ships do they have? Asked Counselor Meltara. whose species looked like walking trees with many branches for arms. "We do not know," Zordan admitted. "Our surveillance systems cannot count what they cannot see, but based on the attacks we have recorded, we estimate they have built at least 1,000 vessels of unknown capability. 1,000 ships cannot threaten the entire coalition," Vextari said. "We have 10,000 ships spread across our territory." "Our 10,000 ships use technology that is 300 years old," Cathvar replied. "Their 1,000 ships use technology we cannot understand. In every engagement we have recorded, human forces have destroyed coalition ships without taking any damage themselves." As if the humans had been listening to their conversation, the chamber's communication system suddenly activated without anyone touching them. The aliens looked around in confusion and fear. Their most secure facility had just been invaded electronically, and none of their defenses had stopped it. The face of Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the main display. She looked older than she had 5 years ago, but her eyes burned with cold intelligence. Behind her, the aliens could see a ship's bridge that was clearly far more advanced than anything in Coalition space. "Greetings, High Council," she said. Her voice was polite but carried an undertone of threat that made every alien in the chamber afraid. "We thought it was time we had a conversation." Kethvar tried to recover his composure. "Admiral Carter, we are glad to see that humanity has prospered since leaving the Coalition. Perhaps we can discuss the current situation in the galaxy and find ways to work together again." "Work together," Admiral Carter repeated. She smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "You threw us out of your coalition because you said we were too dangerous. You said we could not be trusted. You said the galaxy would be safer without us." "That decision may have been made too hastily," Kethvar admitted. "We are willing to reconsider humanity's membership in the coalition. We could offer expanded territories and greater privileges." Admiral Carter's laugh was soft but terrifying. "You misunderstand the situation. We are not interested in rejoining your coalition. We are here to inform you that things have changed." She activated a control, and a new holographic display appeared. It showed the current state of the galaxy. Coalition territory was marked in red and was shrinking every day as the Void Swarm advanced. But human space was marked in blue, and it was huge. Much larger than any of the aliens had realized. "While you have been losing battles against the swarm, we have been growing," Admiral Carter explained. 47 star systems have voluntarily joined the Human Federation. They saw what we offer: real protection, advanced technology, and freedom from bureaucratic chains that slow down everything. Colonel Pete Williams appeared next to Admiral Carter on the screen. He was younger, but had the same cold intelligence in his eyes. "The species that have joined us are not servants or junior partners," he said. "They are equals in a true alliance, something your coalition never understood how to create." Kethvar's crystalline form began to shake. "What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Admiral Carter replied simply. "You taught us that we were better off alone, and you were right. The galaxy is changing. The old coalition is dying, crushed between the Void Swarm and your own incompetence. What emerges from the ashes will be stronger." As she spoke, reports began flooding in to the alien delegates. 3 more coalition member worlds had just requested protection from the Human Federation. The Saurian Empire was secretly negotiating to switch sides entirely. Even some of the core worlds were questioning their loyalty to the failing coalition. Dr. Susan Brooks appeared on the screen next to Admiral Carter. She was now very old, but still sharp and intelligent. "From a scientific perspective," she said, "your exile of humanity created perfect evolutionary pressure. You forced us to adapt or die. And adaptation has always been our greatest strength." "We made a mistake," Kethvar said. "But surely we can find a way to correct it. The Void Swarm threatens all life in the galaxy. We should work together against this common enemy." Admiral Carter stood up, signaling that the meeting was ending. "You wanted us gone because we were too aggressive and unpredictable. You were afraid of what we might become if left alone." She smiled again, and every alien in the chamber felt cold fear run through their bodies. "You should have been more afraid," Because what we have become is exactly what you feared, but refined by isolation and strengthened by necessity. Wait, Kethvar called out desperately. What will happen to the coalition? What will happen to our people? Admiral Carter paused at the edge of the screen. The coalition is welcome to continue existing in whatever territory the Void Swarm leaves you. But understand this, the galaxy has new guardians now. We learned from your mistakes, and we will not repeat them. The transmission ended, leaving the alien leaders alone with the weight of their catastrophic error. They had sought to contain humanity's dangerous potential, but instead had unleashed something far more powerful than they could have ever imagined. In the silence that followed, each alien representative began to understand the truth. The coalition was doomed, not just because of the Void Swarm, but because they had thrown away their only hope of survival. They had feared human unpredictability, but that unpredictability had been their strength. They had worried about human aggression, but that aggression had protected them. Now humanity was free to be everything the aliens had feared, and there was nothing left to stop them. The meeting took place in the empty space between star systems. A massive human ship waited there, bigger than anything the coalition had ever built. It looked like a city floating in space, with towers and domes and weapons that could destroy planets. Admiral Lisa Carter sat in a comfortable chair in the ship's main conference room. Across from her, the coalition delegation tried not to show their fear, but she could see it in their eyes and in the way they held their bodies. They knew they were no longer dealing with the weak humans they remembered. Admiral Kethvar spoke. First, his crystal body was dim, showing that he was tired and stressed. Admiral Carter, we acknowledge that the Council made an error in judgment about humanity's place in the coalition. We are prepared to offer full membership again, with expanded privileges and new territory grants. Carter's laugh was quiet, but it filled the room with cold menace. You still do not understand what is happening here. We are not interested in rejoining your coalition. We are here to explain your new reality. She pressed a button on her chair, and a holographic display filled the air above the table. It showed the current state of the galaxy with perfect detail. Coalition territory was marked in red and was shrinking every day. The Void Swarm had taken system after system while coalition forces retreated or were destroyed. Human space was marked in blue, and it was enormous, far larger than the coalition territories had ever been. Dozens of species had joined the Human Federation, and more were asking to join every week. While you have been fighting a losing battle against the swarm, we have been expanding. Carter explained. We offer something your coalition never could: real protection, advanced technology, and freedom to grow and prosper. Colonel Pete Williams stood up from his seat beside Carter. He was a military man with scars on his face from old battles. The species that join us do not become our servants, he said. They become our partners. We share our technology with them. We protect them from threats. We help them build better lives for their people. This is something your coalition never understood, Carter added. You collected weaker species and made them follow your rules. You took their resources and their soldiers but gave them little in return. We make our allies stronger instead of keeping them weak. Kethvar's form flickered with what might have been desperation. What do you want from us? What will it take to restore peace between our peoples? Peace? Carter repeated. There is no war between us. War requires two sides that can hurt each other. You cannot hurt us, but we could destroy your entire coalition in a matter of days if we chose to. This was not an empty threat. In the 7 years since the betrayal, humanity had built a war machine unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their ships were faster, stronger, and more advanced than coalition vessels. Their weapons could destroy entire fleets. Their defenses could stop any attack. But more importantly, humans had learned to think differently about war. Coalition military. Doctrine was thousands of years old and never changed. Human tactics evolved constantly, adapting to new situations and finding better ways to achieve victory. Then what do you want? Asked Counselor Vexitari, his scales now pale with fear. Nothing from you, Carter replied simply. You made your choice 7 years ago. You decided that the galaxy would be better off without humanity and the coalition. You were right. She gestured to the holographic display again. Look at what we accomplished after you freed us from your restrictions. Look at how many species chose to join us instead of staying with you. Look at how much stronger and safer they have become under human protection. Dr. Susan Brooks appeared on a screen built into the conference table. She was calling from the Human Federation's main research facility. Despite her advanced age, her mind was still sharp and her voice was clear. From a purely scientific viewpoint, she said, the exile of humanity created perfect conditions for rapid evolution. You forced us to adapt quickly or die. Since adaptation has always been our greatest strength, we not only survived, but became something entirely new. The alien delegates looked at each other with growing understanding and fear. They had not just made a mistake. They had created their own replacement. The Human Federation was everything the Coalition had tried to be, but had never managed to become. The Coalition is welcome to continue existing, Carter said as she prepared to end the meeting. You can keep whatever territory the Void Swarm does not take from you, but you need to understand that the galaxy has changed. There are new Guardians now. Guardians? Kethvar asked. For 30 years, humans served the Coalition faithfully. We fought your battles and died for your causes. We thought we were protecting the galaxy. Carter stood up from her chair, and every alien in the room felt smaller and weaker by comparison. Now we know the truth. We were not protecting the galaxy. We were protecting you from yourselves. Your bureaucracy, your rigid thinking, your inability to change. These things made you weak. When you expelled us, you freed us to become what the galaxy actually needed. Colonel Williams activated his communication device. Admiral, we are receiving reports from the border regions. The Saurian Empire has officially requested membership in the Human Federation. 3 more Coalition core worlds have asked for protection from our forces. Carter nodded. Accept the Saurian request immediately. Deploy protection fleets to the 3 core worlds. Make sure they understand that joining the Federation means following Federation rules, not Coalition rules. She looked back at the alien delegates. Your Coalition is dissolving. Your member species are leaving to join us because we offer them something better. We offer them strength instead of weakness, progress instead of stagnation, victory instead of defeat. This cannot be what you wanted, Kethvar said desperately. Surely you did not plan to destroy the Coalition from the beginning. We did not destroy the Coalition, Carter replied. You destroyed it when you chose fear over friendship, weakness over strength, division over unity. We simply offered the galaxy a better alternative. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Carter delivered one final message. You feared what humanity might become if we were left alone. You thought we would become too aggressive, too dangerous, too unpredictable. She smiled, and it was not a cruel smile, but it was absolutely terrifying. You were right to be afraid. We became all of those things. But we also became something else. We became everything the galaxy needed us to be. We became the guardians the universe deserved but never had. The human fleet disappeared into quantum space, leaving the Coalition delegates alone in their dying ship. Around them, the galaxy continued to change as more and more species chose the Human Federation over the failing Coalition. Years later, historians would mark this meeting as the moment when the old galactic order ended and a new one began. The aliens had turned on humanity because they feared human potential. In response, humanity had evolved beyond their worst nightmares and their greatest hopes. The galaxy had tested humanity and found them dangerous. Now humanity would protect the galaxy from all the things that made it weak, including the Coalition itself. In the depths of space, the Human Federation continued to grow, guided by the lessons learned from betrayal and strengthened by the fire of abandonment. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.